In this video, I will be showing you how to install Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is an industry standard software that's used to program in several programming languages. We're going to be using it in class for Python and HTML and SQL, but industry-wide, this can be used for hundreds of programming languages, which makes it a really versatile software, and a lot of people use it, so it's good for us to get used to using it in class. In order to do this video, you will probably want to go back first and install Python if you have not already done so. We're going to be doing a little bit of Python code in this exercise to test Visual Studio to make sure it is installed properly. So make sure you have the install Python video completed before you do this video. So how do you install? Installing Visual Studio is pretty straightforward, like installing every other software product. Simply go out to the internet and do a search for it. Visual Studio Code right there. And you'll see there is download Visual Studio. Code.visualstudio.com/download is where we want to be. And you'll see there's multiple options for download. There's one for Windows, there's a Linux install, and of course a Mac OS install. So for those of you who use Mac, if you would like to install this on your personal device, you are free to do so. For this installation, we'll be doing the Windows version since we're installing it on our servers. So go ahead and click the Windows install, and you'll see it'll automatically download. Again, you can click the open button here to install, or if you accidentally forget to click that or click off of it, it can be installed through your File Explorer in Downloads under VS Code User Setup. So go ahead and double click that. It'll give you an error message, at least if you're installing it here on your server, saying it's not meant to be run as an administrator. Go ahead and click OK. This is a security issue, but in the big scheme of things for what we're doing, it's not really that big of a deal since we're just learning and testing. So go ahead and click OK. Click you accept the agreement, and then you're going to click Next all the way through. There's a whole bunch of Nexts here. And then install at the end, and wait for a minute, and it will do the install. Again, Visual Studio Code is kind of an industry standard here, so learning how to use this will open up a lot of doors for you if you would like to use other programming languages other than what we're even using in class. Once it's installed, we'll go ahead and hit Finish. It'll launch Visual Studio Code automatically. Visual Studio Code can be launched from in here. You'll see it up there, and if not there, you'll see it right in here. So we'll go ahead and hit Finish to launch it, and you will see Visual Studio Code come up. On first launch, you'll see a couple things that look a little different. It'll say updates are disabled. It might say that. Go ahead and hit the X so that doesn't get in your way. And you'll see there's some steps it wants you to do to start off. So the first thing is choosing your theme. Go ahead and pick a theme. You can click Browse Color Themes. It'll list a whole bunch of them, and we can look through some of those later. But we'll just click one. Then when you're done with that, go ahead and hit the X up here, and that will get you out of that screen. So at least you have a theme selected. Now the next thing we need to do is just make sure everything is working properly. And in order to do that, we need to get a Python script written, which we'll just do a small one, and then make sure it can run. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to go ahead and click File, and we're going to hit New Text File. And you're going to see it's going to ask you to select a language and some of this stuff. Go ahead and click Select a Language, and we're going to select Python. Go ahead and click Python, and now it's going to say the Python extension is not installed. Do you want to install it? Go ahead and hit Install, and that will install the Python extension. This is used so that Visual Studio Code can actually understand Python. There's extensions for lots and lots of languages here. This is just one of many. It'll take a minute to install, and then it's going to ask if you want to open a project folder. So a project folder, when you write code, you can split code across multiple files. This is done to keep things organized. So for instance, if you're creating a game, you might have all of the files for your levels in one file and all of the code for your your enemies in one file and the player character in another file and so on. So it keeps things organized and keeps it split up. So we're going to go ahead and hit Open Project Folder. And we're just going to put the project folder as the Documents folder. So go ahead and click that and click Select Folder. And it's going to say, do you trust the author of the files in this folder? Well, I certainly hope we do since it's us. So we're going to say just trust all the authors in the parent folder and click Yes. And now any file that you create will automatically be trusted, which is what we want. So once you have this open, you can go ahead and hit the little X here, create a new file here. And we're going to call it test.py. You have to make sure you put a .py at the end of it because it's a Python file, and that's how it knows it's a Python file. So anything in a file name, if you have a period, anything after the last period is what's known as the file name extension. And the extension is what tells your computer what type of file it is. So we're going to put test.py and click off of it, and you'll see here is your file right here. Now we're going to write a simple Python script. And notice as we start to type, it tries to autocomplete, right? This is because we have the Python extensions installed. So it kind of helps us to code. So we're going to print, and then see it tells you a little bit about what the print function does. We'll put quote, hello world. So go ahead and click off of it, and you'll see that should be what is in your file. Go ahead and click the Run Python File button up here. And if all goes well, it should run down here, and you should get hello world. If that's working, then you should be good to go and ready for class.